Okay, we are live on YouTube.
Very good. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here today for our public safety meeting. Happy New Year. I hope it's going to be a great year and a healthy year. We'll see. The first order of business would be to approve the minutes of the last December meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, we'll get to our agency updates. Today we have Lieutenant Brokaw with us, and he's going to be joining us every meeting. He'll be working with us and with the deputies here on the island to assure that we continue to get such good coverage and help from the sheriff's office. So, Lieutenant Brokaw, would you give us a report, please?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm looking forward to taking a more active role in assisting with the interaction between the sheriff's office and the town. I look forward to working closer with all of you. And available for any of you at any time, my cell phone number. Looking forward to getting a little more acquainted with all the things that Captain Martin was doing, and hopefully we can build upon that and make this a continued success between our agency and meeting the needs of the town. I don't have much in line to report anything new during this time, other than in the last monthly report, we always run a total for, to the right of the thing, it shows all of our total numbers. So if you look at the number of calls we handled, a little over 1,700 calls on the island last year. On the island or in the area of the island, I guess that would be a better way to say it. And I think we've done some good things. I'm looking forward to seeing how productive and how well the bike program works out there. I think that's going to be an excellent tool for us to get us around the island and a little more personal touch with not only the visitors but also to those who live on the island. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm just getting my feet wet a little bit here, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more and a little better report for you next month.
Well, I guess first I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Captain Martin. If you see him, please tell him we really appreciate all he did for Kiwa. Working with him was a pleasure. He was always here for us. So you have big shoes to follow in.
I certainly do, and I am here 24/7 for you guys. So you just let me know what you need and when you need it.
Thank you. The other thing is, one of the last things he was going to do, I know he was in the process of doing, was arranging for the training for the bike patrol. Do you know anything about that, Lieutenant, or would you be able to find out where that stands?
I will be able to find out for you. I'll let you know as soon as I find out, and I'll definitely have a report for you next month on where that stands. But I'll also let you know beforehand as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, Chief Walls, do you have a report?
Happy New Year. After moving 10 months into lockdown now with COVID, things are kind of status quo. As far as St. John's, we're trying to find creative ways to allow our personnel to train without too close proximity. Today we have them performing drafting exercises down on Wamala. And for those that aren't aware, drafting is being able to obtain a water supply when you don't have hydrants.
Oh, okay.
So we continue to work on our strategic plan for St. John's Fire District and how we'll be evolving and moving into the future. Currently, we're looking at, in addition to the completion of Station 4 and working out some of the problems left with Station 6, we're looking at possibly a new maintenance facility for our personnel. Currently, they work out of a very old maintenance facility. They don't work out of it, they work outside of it because it's not big enough for the vehicles to fit inside. So we're progressing towards that. We looked at a couple maintenance facilities. We're acquiring funding through government issued bonds in order to try and finance that. And that's what we've been up to. I think that Chief Gilcrease sent Petra the stats for us.
I'm sure he did. Petra's computer isn't working right now, so.
I've got
Petra, you there?
it's in the report.
Okay.
Okay,
I just wanted to be sure of that. Since last Monday, our firefighters have been allowed to start acquiring the vaccine.
Good.
As a little bit later than the frontline personnel and paramedics, but much appreciative nonetheless, because they're, as expected, doing CPR on COVID positive patients, et cetera. So we are happy about that and grateful that they're entered into this process. And we're trying to encourage the majority of them to accept that vaccine, in the midst of all this cloudiness in regards and reference to vaccines. But if you don't have any questions, that will be my report.
thank you, Chief. Do you have anyone out because of COVID?
Yes.
Or is it a lot of people, or has it?
Well, since the start of the pandemic, we've gone through, luckily, we've actually we've only averaged a couple per week. And this past week, we've had 2 additional members test positive for COVID. And immediately we act on that and start to isolate and notify and bring our people in for a rapid test. If it comes up positive in the rapid test, we send them to MESC for confirmation of that, and then test all the people in proximity to them. So that's worked out pretty well for us so far. So we haven't had to lose a whole shift as some of our other counterparts actually have in the last month or so. So we're steady as she goes and hoping that we can speed up this vaccine process.
Great. Okay, thank you, Chief. Next, Charleston County Emergency Medical Services, Mr. Abrams.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
In December, Charleston County EMS responded to 19 incidences on Kiwa. We have had some good success with our anchored unit, which is either Medic 44 or Medic 47, depending on if it's day or night. So out of the 19 responses, 6 of those were handled by the anchor truck. Ironically, 2 of our best times we had 2 calls that were under 12 minutes, and actually those were handled by non-anchored units, but we are still trying to continue to backfill if that unit is not staffed with overtime units. And if that unit gets a call, we're still trying to cover by sending an active unit through. We had 3 responses that were over 30 minutes, 35, 33, and 36 minutes respectively. All those patients were stable. And I think one of those calls was an alpha level response. But I think that the impact of us also having anchored units scheduled either in the Edisto area as well as the McClellanville area is actually still having a better impact, because that still gives us more resources to operate. And as an agency, we're looking at going back to council and getting some good pay increases and some more budgeting items that will help in recruitment and retention, which is what we really need. We just need more staffing to create some predictable consistency and reliable consistency with our geographic coverage and volume coverage.
Okay. So we had 19 calls on Kiwa. 6 were answered by the anchor truck, the local truck. 2 were under 12 minutes and 3 were over 30 minutes. What was the time frame for the other 14? Yes.
So we had 6 that were between 12 and 15 minutes. We had another 2 that were between 15 and 17 minutes. We had 1 that was at 17 minutes, and we had another 6 that were between 20 and 29 minutes. But when I pulled that in those numbers, they were pretty much between 23, 24 minutes, a couple of 20-minute responses. As you know, once it hits 20 minutes in a second, it's going to go into that category. And all those patients were stable. And in fact, a couple of those were handled by the anchor truck. They were, a couple of those were actually at near Ocean Course looking at, one was on Ocean Marsh Road, one was on Bulrush Lane. So kind of deep in there. We are looking if we can, and this is just for forward thinking, is that we would like to get a better presence on Kiwa itself, and we're talking to St. John's Fire Department as well, as far as an ability to move one of our transport units closer to the middle of Kiwa in the future, especially since you guys are growing out. That having us at one end of the island, it's like the farther away you get from the gate, the less our service is. So that's something that we're considering moving towards in the future.
Now, how likely is it that we'll be able to get a transport unit there?
It's really just between Chief Wallace and myself as far as trying to figure out the logistics. We've already been in discussion with them about providing that. I think we already have a charging cord at one of those as well. And for us, it's a real simple process of just moving the vehicle if we have the ability. And I think Chief Wallace, I don't know if you have any information on that.
To Station 4 when it's completed, or Station 6 currently?
4 is what we've been talking about when it's completed.
Right, yeah, we've been talking about Station 4 when it's completed, and we have absolutely no objection to that whatsoever.
I would think that would be a great benefit.
I agree.
Yeah, us
We've
too.
even offered to help staff it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And then
all options are on the table.
David, how is the staffing going for our unit right outside the gate? I know you said you were offering overtime to people.
Yeah, it's actually been a pretty successful program. Sorry. I had the second shot yesterday, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's, anyways. It's actually a successful program. So we're probably up about 40% of the time, it seems like. So weekends are, nobody really wants to do overtime, but usually Monday through Friday, we're having great successes. Oftentimes we're having all 3 of our anchor units staffed as well. So that really gives us a lot better geographic coverage. And I'm fine if the unit doesn't run a call, if it just sits there, because for me, it's about the peace of mind of knowing that we have the coverage. And I think that's what you guys are thinking as well. But what I'd like to do is try to figure out a way to encourage it to be staffed more. And we've had discussions as well that once we can bring more staffing on, do we go back to try to create schedules that promote a 24-48 type rotation like the fire departments do? That way people can kind of go out there 2-month rotations and make it part of our normal schedule and not part of an overtime thing. I think that, and I have Chief Bialik, actually, you can see just joined. He's our new ops chief as of about 90 days ago. So you may see him every now and then. And so he's, those are some of the things that we've discussed as far as maintaining that consistency with making that part of our normal schedule and creating the incentive for people to go out there and man it. And I would still deploy from our central location and just, it'd be a 13-hour shift that goes out and to provide the coverage like we're currently doing now.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I can ask Chief Abrams just a few questions.
Sure.
On the report that you've generated for our packet, just so I understand that I'm reading it properly, I do see that for the month of December, the average time is 20.26 seconds. The red dash line at the 8.20, is that the average that you guys like to strive for? Is that what I'm looking at? So everything above that was above the average time?
That's correct. That's what we strive for. And so there's really no clinical impact for that. It's just something that's programmed into the ESO analytics, which is our chart writing program. We really are trying to shoot for 1059 or less for all calls, especially with around the county, all of our fire department personnel. Realistically, if it's a critical patient, they're going to be doing everything for the first 10 minutes anyway that we would be doing with their skill level.
Okay. And then you had some, and I know you had talked about it, but based on your chart, you did have some that peaked just over 33 minutes. What were the reason for the long time? Was it because you were going from your location here next to Town Hall all the way out to maybe Ocean Park or Ocean Course? Was it the travel time, or what was the reason for those two longer response times?
One of those was an alpha unit response, or excuse me, an alpha response. So we don't respond lights and sirens to those just because the complaint of the patient codes as a no lights, no sirens response. Two of those
Why would
also.
they, could you, I'm sorry,
No, go
for
ahead.
an alpha response, what would trigger a no light? Is it because of death they've already passed on, or?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
So the way that the ProQA works, which is the dispatch program, and this is what they do across the nation, is that if you have no priority symptoms, such as if you call and say, hey, look, I've had a sinus infection for 3 days, or I tripped and fell, but I'm fine. I just need to have somebody come out and take a look at me. Those are the things that would prompt at what we call an alpha response. And all of our codes go through Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, or Echo indication. Echo being like a structure fire, or cardiac arrest. Delta would be like severe respiratory breathing. Charlie responses would be like a transfer or in-facility call if a physician called us for a transport. Traffic accidents that don't involve rollovers or entrapments would be a Bravo level. Trip and fall would be a Bravo level. The lights and sirens start at the Bravo level. Two of those calls, Ms. Tillerson, one of them we were in West Ashley when the call came out. The other one was Main and Chisholm Road when the call came out. So we still have some room to grow and to improve our responses as far as the coverage is concerned. I think we're getting better. What we've noticed is that last month in December, with the anchor unit being in place, or at least our ability to have more backfilling in that area, our response times on average decreased 7 minutes for Kiwa. And I don't know if that's the causation because of the anchor unit. It's something we'll keep tracking, but at least the first month we've done this, it looks like we have had a pretty good improvement in our response times to the Kiwa area. Great questions, though.
Okay, great, thank you, that's it.
And then I also had a question, if I may.
Sure.
Does anybody have information on the call from yesterday?
What call
What
was
call
that?
are you referring to? Are you talking about?
It was a
EMS
medical call from, yeah, it was a medical call from yesterday.
From what source?
EMS. We're talking about EMS.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I'm just,
Chief Abrams, do you have any report for the response call yesterday?
I don't, I'm not aware of it, but I'm happy to look into it and we can get back with you.
Okay, was that, Yvonne, was that a call to the resort?
It was out on the island. I don't think it was any of our properties. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
that's what I was saying.
But it may have been a rental property.
And I take it there was a problem with it?
I believe that there was close to a 45-minute response time.
I can definitely take a look at it.
Please check that, Chief Abrams, and then get back to myself or Stephanie
Will do. Thank you.
and Yvonne.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Chief Abrams? No. I have one question. EMTs, can they do EKGs?
They can transmit EKGs, but they can't manually interpret them.
They can't, can they administer it?
Yes, they can do a 12-lead EKG. They can capture it and then they can transmit it to a physician, but
Okay.
they can't do a manual interpretation and they can't
Sure.
do any pacing and such. They can also do defibrillation, but as long as it's automatic like the AEDs.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, David.
Certainly.
Moving on to our beach patrol. Mr. Edgerton,
Good afternoon.
how'd you make that yesterday?
Well, so we're in the process of getting DHEC certified as a basic life support first responder agency through DHEC. So essentially, that's going to put us under the purview of DHEC with their oversight. We meet their standards and ultimately, what does that do? Well, it just translates into a better seamless transition of patient care through the 911 pre-hospital setting. So between us and other first responders like the fire department or EMS or whoever is involved. So it's a multi-step process, and we really were hoping to be certified by last spring, but really COVID kind of derailed us. So there are 2 physical inspections that are involved, and we passed the first one yesterday.
Great.
And now we are in the process of scheduling the second one. So hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have that process behind us and we'll be officially certified as a DHEC agency. So looking forward to
Very
that.
good news. We'll have to have you come to talk to the council after your certification.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
So as far as sort of the year-end update for 2020, just wrapping things up, very pleased and somewhat surprised to say that that for the entire year, we've only had one person on our staff test positive for COVID, and I know going into this summer season, especially, that was something that we were pretty stressed out about, being a small department and having a large need to meet every summer, especially holidays and stuff. I don't know, it's nothing short of miraculous that 30 of our staff age 18 to 25 primarily didn't have some super spreader event or weren't involved in one. So credit to them, and we're just thankful for that. We are in the process of getting vaccinated now. We do meet the DHEC phase 1A criteria to get the vaccination. So a lot of our personnel actually had access to the vaccines through other jobs that they work, either through a hospital system or other first responder agency. But we're getting everybody up to speed on that. Let's see. As far as our contract goes, we're up for the last extension on our annual beach patrol contract that expires February 4th. So we're in the process of putting together a letter for the Ways and Means Committee to request an extension for the last year of that contract renewal. In the contract, there's really only two things that the town is required to supply at this point. One is the radio communications equipment, and I know that that's on the table, and I've talked to Brian and Ms. Tillerson about it, and it seems like the wheels are moving forward with that. So pleased to hear, and if there's anything that I can do to help answer questions about that or the justification, I'm happy to. And then the AEDs are the other piece of equipment that the town provides for us. I think Ms. Tillerson and I were talking, I think it would be both of our preferences if we could just do an all-inclusive contract and didn't have to come to the town to ask for anything. Unfortunately, on the radio side, in order to use public safety radios on the Charleston County 800 radio system, you actually the radios have to be owned and maintained by the municipality. So I, as a private contractor, wouldn't be able to do that. And so I think that has to stay as is, at least for the time being, where the town is actually purchasing and owning and maintaining the radios, and we are the users. The AEDs are a different story. I think historically it was probably really hard for us in the mid 90s to get AEDs and justify that expense. And so that was something that was easier for the town to purchase and maintain. Over the years, I think that's probably not the case any longer. I'm sure that through some of our vendor contacts, we can get a really competitive price on AEDs. And so instead of having to come to the town and get additional equipment or replace AED pads or batteries when they expire or fail, it just makes more sense to request an addendum to the contract for this last year. And so we'll probably request that the AEDs be supplied by the contractor. So it would be our burden of responsibility to make sure we have that equipment, and then adjust the contract price accordingly, just to update the 3 AEDs that we have now from 2005, and then get 2 additional AEDs that we're supposed to have that we never really followed up on when we expanded our services several years ago. So that's our plan moving forward. And then lastly, I compiled the statistics, and it's going to do a nice screen sharing presentation. And I've had some technology issues this morning, and so I don't have a screen to share right now. But yesterday, I think Petra sent out the annual statistics, which admittedly are rather small and hard to read. So this morning, I was able to do. I kind of pulled out some of the important or relevant statistics and consolidated it, and then did a side-by-side comparison of 2020, 2019, and 2018, which I think will probably be a little more useful to everyone here. So I'm sorry that I can't share my screen, but for those of you who have it, I'm happy to answer any questions, or we can take a look at it at the next meeting. But if y'all have anything for me, I'm happy to field any questions.
The question I have is, do you know when the next visit will be from DHEC?
Now that we passed the inspection yesterday, we just need to schedule the last inspection. I'd like to drag my feet a little bit on it because I don't want to get inspected with 3 AEDs that are from 2005. And so if we can get that piece sort of nailed down between now and February, I'll probably maybe schedule a date sometime in February and at least have them on order if we can't have them in hand by then. But that would be my goal as soon as possible. But that is one piece of equipment that we do need in order to make the last step happen.
Very good. That's good news about the, Chief Abrams, did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Not for Mr. Edgerton. I'm sorry. I just, the last call that EMS has run on Kiwa was on the 9th of this month. So I don't have any record of response or from yesterday. So if Ms. Johnston, if you could provide any more information, I'll be happy to look into wherever the source of that information is.
Did the sheriffs have any, do our deputies have any information on that? Lieutenant Brokaw?
No, ma'am, I don't have any. I could ask my guys as well.
Please ask them and we'll see if we can find out the answer in the situation. All right, does anybody have, thank you, Rob. Does anyone have any questions for Rob? Okay, moving on to the Kiwa Island Community Association. I will comment that I'd rather look at your face than your dog. Tony? Are you here?
I am, and I am driving, so please forgive me if I don't look at the camera. Might not be a good idea.
Tony, you can turn your video camera off. I think she was just saying because we have your picture, so your dog picture, but you can turn your video camera off if it's safe.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
I just, every time we meet with you, we see your dog, so that's why I was.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because I have a different picture that it shows that I'm showing. I'll have to look at that. I'll try to change that. But so for the association, I think that the biggest news is that we got the members' RFID tags in yesterday. We are working through the process of how to get those out so we can change out all barcodes and eliminate the barcode readers by probably April 15th. So they'll be totally eliminated and cut down. We're trying to figure out exactly when we'll start to issue those. I'm working with the club to be able to input all of their club RFIDs, which are able to work with our system. I got that list this morning, so I can put those RFIDs in. For those who don't know, I've been asked by the board of CASIC, and our board has been briefed, and we are moving towards completing the SLED application for me to take over CASIC security, including their 3 employees and their gates and access control. I anticipate that will happen hopefully in March because my license renewal is being submitted now anyway for a February renewal, and everyone's on board with us. So right now I am consulting with them on what needs to happen in order for me to be able to take over a projected date sometime in March.
Great.
There's a lot of other things that are going on, but I don't know that they're very relevant for us to talk about unless anyone has any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Tony and Kika?
One more quick thing. Today you will see the gate being milled. The front gate pavement is being milled so that the truck parking can be completed. Hopefully that'll be completed today. It's going to perhaps occasionally shut down a lane, but access will not be restricted. They're already milling it now, and then they will be actually paving it later on this afternoon and hopefully totally completed before they go home tonight.
Great. That'll be good when it's finished. I'm sure you'll be
It'll
happy.
stop the trucks. It'll stop the trucks from being in the roadway,
Right.
which have always been a pet peeve of mine, and we finally got it approved to get it done. So it's a good deal.
Very good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tony. Does anybody have any questions for any of the agencies that have reported? If not, we'll move down on the agenda. The next thing we have is a discussion of crime reports. I've been approached and asked to consider having a crime report go out every month, I believe. And it came out as a result of some discussion about an incident that occurred last year at Reds Bluff. And I started to investigate, and I looked at the crime reports, that we have, this sheriff's, all the reports that you provide every month. And I have to say, we don't have a lot of crime in Kiwa. The incident at Reds Bluff had to do with a couple of property owners' boats having items taken from them. And it turned out that the people who were doing that came in by boat and actually, went up to some of the existing boats that were docked and removed items that were not theirs. The way we handled it at the time was we sent out an e-blast to everyone and alerted them that they should be securing their boats just like you secure your house, and just be aware, don't leave anything that's easy to pick up and take in your boats while they're docked. It seemed to work. When we've had any other incidents, and as I said, they're very few, a car being broken into at Night Heron Park, we send out an e-blast to everyone. We alert them, make sure you secure your homes, don't leave your doors open. Secure your cars, the same thing, don't leave them unlocked, don't leave valuables visible in your car where somebody be tempted to break in. So I'm wondering if we need to provide any more information than that. Also, all of our reports are on our website. If you wanted to know about any reports that were submitted by any of the agencies to public safety, all you have to do is go to the Kiwa Town website and look at the particular organization, public safety committee, and you can go into March of 2019 and see the reports that were given. With each of the, if there was any problem at all, which you'll find very few reports that have any substance of serious issues. The same is true for violations, code violations. For code violations, if you go onto the town website, you'll be able to find out what's going on with code violations. So I really appreciate some input from you regarding crime reports. Do you think they'd be necessary, or do you think it's adequate what we're doing?
Ma'am, I talked to Tony yesterday, and I think that what we're doing is perfectly fine. I don't think we need to do, in my opinion, I don't think you or we or the town need to do any more. I think the information in my reports, although it's kind of vague or bland, is a good information, and the blast that the town sends out when there is an issue is perfect. My concern for doing anything else would be if something is occurring, like we have people like the patio furniture deal, when those were being taken. We have somebody investigating that. I don't want to give out too much information that might interfere with the investigation that's being done. That's my main concern with doing more than what's being done now.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Just to dovetail on that a little bit, in our conversation, That's the reason why, as a security department, we get all the crime information, which we really appreciate. But I also know the sensitivity of the investigation, so that information does not go out unless the sheriff's office in the town put it out, because we don't want to inadvertently mess up an investigation unknowingly that it is ongoing and cause it to not work. So I also think that the information is all publicly available. We submit 5 different reports from all the public safety entities. They're all online. And in essence, we would just be taking reports that exist and creating another bulletin or other report, when perhaps maybe a better option to at least start with, maybe we just need more public sharing of where they exist and where they are and what they are. I know it's out there. I know everyone knows, but maybe that's the answer, as opposed to creating another redundant report that somebody's going to have to sit down and sift through and determine what can be released and what can't.
Right. Thank you. Stephanie Braswell, on your e-blasts, when they go out, do they go out to all the property owners?
I'm hopping in because Stephanie might be on that Tri-County call too. So we don't have access to all of the property owners like Kika does. They have to voluntarily sign up, but Kika does pick up our e-blast a lot, which is helpful to get more information out to all the homeowners.
All right, I guess maybe we should, make sure that we're able to get it to as many homeowners, as many property owners as possible, because it is a great source of immediate information. And as I said, if we've had any incidents, they go out in the e-blast to alert our residents. So do you know how many people are on that e-blast list, Keely?
I could pull it up. It's several thousand. And it's a ton of our residents. I would say the majority of our residents are probably on it. I don't have that data in front of me though.
Oh,
Ms. Connolly, sorry. Thank you, Keely. I was trying to do double duty and listen to the county call at the same time. But we have there's distribution lists for the information that the town sends out. And for the town notification list, which be all like the e-blast you're talking about, right, there is about 4,500 contacts in there. Now, that is not all residents. There are reporters and other people that can sign up for that, because we're a public entity. So we, one, have to have someone actually voluntarily sign up, and two, we can't restrict anyone from signing up. So, but again, like Keely said, we do work with the community association and piggyback in emergency operations.
And I know the information is sent out very quickly.
Yeah.
Usually the same day.
Yes, that's correct. Especially if it's a matter of public safety, like what you're referring to with Reds Bluff, and just keeping our residents aware that things like that are going on are helpful for prevention.
Great. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments on crime reports?
Yes, Marianne, one thing I would suggest, if people were really interested, they could sign up for the public bulletins that come through the Community Affairs and Media Relations Office through the Sheriff's Office. And I sent you an email for you to look at the platform, but it's a snapshot of everything that occurs throughout the county. And Kiwa does have its own specific line.
That'd be awesome. I'd like to look at that. Thank you. Okay, at this time, let's see, I think we've covered everything. I'd just like to go back to each of you. Bill Tomei, do you have any comments? Anything you'd like to say to the assembled group?
The only thing I can comment on is just remind everybody that for those of us that are over 70, we now sign up for the COVID vaccine. Right. So encourage everyone to do that. That's all.
That's a good message. And the firehouse is doing well?
The firehouse is doing well. Station 4 is on schedule. In fact, it's a couple of days ahead of schedule and still scheduled for completion slightly before the PGA. It's about 65% complete right now.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Bill. Julie, do you have anything for your area?
I don't have anything, thank you.
And Dwight?
Nothing additional. Thank you.
Okay. Yvonne?
No, ma'am. They did call the Masters yesterday and they're doing limited spectators, but nothing for the PGA for us has been called yet.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, great. There's still time, but I don't know. Okay, did I miss anybody? All right. Well, thank you very much for being here today, and make sure you get vaccinated if you can get an appointment. I hope all of our public safety organizations will have access to the vaccine ASAP. And thank you very much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Yvonne.